Certainly. Here's an expanded 750 word segment for the first key point, in a seamless, conversational style, as if Tony Mandela were delivering the speech. My friends, today I want to speak about something deeply personal and universal, something that each of us wrestles with in silence, yet that shapes the course of our lives in profound ways. I speak about lust not just as a word, but as a powerful force that stirs within us, a force that is neither enemy nor friend, but a part of the human experience that calls for understanding and courage. Lust is often spoken of in hushed tones, hidden away behind closed doors and guarded by shame. Yet, to confront it honestly is the first step toward overcoming it. It is important to remember that lust, like many other desires, is natural. It is woven into the fabric of who we are, part of our biology, our minds, and our hearts. It pulses with the vitality of life itself, urging us toward connection, intimacy, and sometimes momentary pleasure. But it can also become a shadow, a storm that clouds our judgment and leads us away from the path of peace and purpose. We must recognize this challenge for what it truly is, not a mark of failure or weakness, but a test of our resolve and wisdom. Every one of us has faced moments when the call of lust seems overwhelming, when its grip feels tight, and when it tempts us to forget our deeper values. These moments do not diminish us, they invite us to rise. They remind us that the journey to self-mastery is a journey worth taking. In acknowledging the presence of lust, we also acknowledge the complexity of being human. We are beings of both spirit and flesh, capable of great love and great temptation. To deny this duality is to deny our nature. Instead, we must embrace it, to walk the difficult path that leads from impulse to insight, from reaction to reflection. This is no easy road, but it is the road to true freedom. It is freedom from the chains of fleeting desires, freedom from the sorrow that follows when lust is allowed to rule unchecked. It is freedom to live with integrity, to honor ourselves and those around us, and to cultivate relationships built not on momentary gratification, but on trust, respect, and lasting connection. In the face of lust's power, we must cultivate a kind of bravery, not the bravado of reckless indulgence, but the quiet, steady bravery of self-awareness. We must look inward, honestly and without judgment, to understand the roots of our desires. What is it that we truly seek? Is it connection, validation, escape? By asking these questions, we begin to see lust not as an enemy to be destroyed, but as a message to be heard. This awareness opens the door to choice. We begin to realize that lust, while a strong current, is not an uncontrollable flood. We are not merely passengers swept away by it, we are also navigators with the power to steer. This insight is empowering. It reminds us that the power to overcome lies within us. We can respond rather than react. We can act with intention rather than be driven by impulse. This recognition also calls for compassion toward ourselves and toward others. It is easy to fall into harsh judgment when we stumble, when lust leads us astray or causes pain. But such judgment only deepens the struggle. Instead, we must meet ourselves with kindness, understanding that overcoming lust is a process, not a single victory. It is a lifelong commitment to growth, to learning, and to healing. We must also remember that this journey is not one we take alone. There is strength in community, in shared experience, and in the wisdom that others offer. When we open ourselves to honest conversation and support, the burden of this struggle lightens, and the path forward becomes clearer. My friends, to overcome lust, is not to deny our humanity. It is to affirm it. It is to choose a higher way, to live with courage, integrity, and hope. It is to say that we are greater than our impulses, that we can build lives of meaning and dignity beyond the pull of momentary desire. In embracing this truth, we reclaim our power. We become architects of our own destiny, shaping a future where our desires serve our highest good rather than control us. This is the challenge, and this is the promise, that by facing lust with honesty and courage, we open the door to a life that is fuller, richer, and more deeply connected to the values that sustain us. So let us walk this path together with open hearts and steady minds, committed to the journey of overcoming lust not as a burden, but as a profound opportunity for transformation. Because in this struggle lies the power to become who we are truly meant to be. If you want, I can continue with the next key points in the same style. Certainly. Here is the expanded 750 word segment for key point 2 in the style requested. My friends, as we continue to explore this journey of overcoming lust, we arrive at a truth that is both simple and profound. The power to rise above our desires lies within discipline and self-mastery. This is not a call for rigidity or denial, but an invitation to reclaim control over the impulses that seek to sway us. To master oneself is to gain freedom. It is to transform desire from a storm that sweeps us away into a river we can navigate with intention. Discipline is often misunderstood as punishment or deprivation, but in truth, it is the gift we give ourselves, the foundation upon which we build a life of dignity and purpose. Discipline is the quiet, consistent choice to say yes to what nourishes our spirit and no to what threatens to undo us. It is the daily practice of aligning our actions with our deepest values, even when the easier path tempts us to stray. In the face of lust, discipline is the bridge between awareness and action. Awareness opens our eyes to the forces within us, but without discipline, awareness alone is powerless. Discipline is the muscle that strengthens our will, enabling us to withstand moments of temptation and to choose a path that honors our true selves. Self-mastery is the art of living deliberately. It is not about perfection, but about progress, a steady journey toward greater understanding and control. To master oneself is to become the captain of one's own ship, steering through the seas of desire with wisdom and courage. It means recognizing when lust arises and responding not with surrender, but with thoughtful intention. This mastery grows from habits rooted in respect for ourselves and for others. It calls us to cultivate patience, to breathe deeply in moments of unrest, and to remind ourselves that no impulse is so urgent that it cannot be met with calm reflection. In these moments, discipline becomes an act of love, a way of honoring the sacredness of our own being. We must remember that discipline is not something we either have or lack. It is something we build like a muscle. It strengthens with practice and falters without it. There will be days when the desire feels overwhelming, when the temptation is strong, and the call to indulge is loud. But it is in these very moments that discipline proves its worth. The choice to hold firm, to wait, to redirect our energy, is the choice that shapes our character and defines our freedom. In this struggle, patience is our ally. Self-mastery is not achieved overnight. It is a lifelong pursuit marked by small victories and occasional setbacks. When we stumble, as we all do, discipline calls us not to despair, but to return with renewed commitment. Every moment is a chance to begin again, to strengthen our resolve, and to deepen our understanding of ourselves. Discipline also teaches us humility. It reminds us that we are not infallible, that temptation is part of the human condition, and that growth requires honesty. It asks us to look at our failures without judgment, to learn from them, and to move forward with grace. This humility is not weakness. It is the strength that allows us to keep striving, even when the path is difficult. Self-mastery invites us to seek support, not because it is a sign of weakness, but because community nurtures discipline and holds us accountable. When we surround ourselves with those who share our values and aspirations, we create an environment where discipline can flourish. We gain encouragement in moments of doubt, guidance in moments of confusion, and strength in moments of struggle. In this, we see that discipline is not a lonely endeavor. It is a collective act of courage, a shared commitment to live with integrity and respect. Together, we can build lives that reflect our highest ideals, even in the face of powerful desires. It is important also to understand that discipline does not deny joy or pleasure. Rather, it teaches us to find joy in what is sustaining and meaningful. It allows us to experience the fullness of life, free from the chaos that uncontrolled lust can bring. In mastering our desires, we open ourselves to deeper satisfaction, the satisfaction that comes from living authentically and in harmony with our values. This is the power of discipline. It transforms lust from a force that threatens to divide and diminish us into a challenge that refines and elevates us. Through discipline, desire becomes a teacher, guiding us toward greater self-awareness and strength. So, my friends, I urge you to embrace this power of discipline and self-mastery. Know that the strength you seek is already within you, waiting to be awakened by your commitment and courage. It is through this steady practice that we move from being ruled by our desires to becoming the architects of our own destiny. And in this transformation, we find not only freedom, but also the promise of a life rich with purpose, respect, and peace. Let me know if you want me to proceed with the next part, of course. Here is a 750 word segment expanding on key point 3 in the same style. As we continue this conversation about overcoming lust, it becomes clear that at the heart of this struggle lies a deeper truth, one that reaches beyond personal discipline or momentary resistance. It is the truth about respect and dignity, not only for ourselves, but for those around us. Overcoming lust is not merely about controlling desire. It is about honoring the sacredness of every human being, including ourselves, in the full complexity of our shared humanity. When lust takes hold without restraint, it can reduce people to mere objects of gratification, shadows of their true selves. This is the dangerous path where desire blinds us to the dignity of others and to the deeper connections that make life meaningful. To overcome lust is to reclaim a vision that sees beyond the surface, that recognizes the full humanity of each person we encounter. It is to embrace respect as a guiding light in our relationships, a light that leads us toward understanding, compassion, and genuine connection. Respect is more than a social convention or a set of rules. It is a recognition of the intrinsic worth that each person carries simply by being human. It calls us to look beyond physical appearance or momentary attraction and to appreciate the whole person, their hopes, struggles, dreams, and fears. When we choose respect, we choose to value people for who they are, not for what they might provide or fulfill in our momentary desires. This respect begins within ourselves. To truly honor others, we must first honor ourselves. We must see ourselves not as vessels of impulse or objects of fleeting passion, but as individuals worthy of care and dignity. When we respect ourselves, we create a foundation from which healthy relationships can grow, relationships grounded in mutual understanding, empathy, and trust. The path of respect invites us to challenge the attitudes and behaviors that diminish this dignity. It asks us to reject the ways in which lust can lead to exploitation, manipulation, or harm. It asks us to be vigilant, to notice when desire clouds our judgment, or leads us to treat others unfairly. In those moments, respect calls us to pause, to reflect, and to choose differently. Respect also demands honesty with ourselves and with those we care about. It means speaking truthfully, setting boundaries, and honoring commitments. When we engage with others authentically, we build relationships that reflect our highest values rather than our lowest impulses. This honesty fosters trust, and trust is the soil from which love and respect flourish. We must also remember that respect is a two-way street. It is not something we can demand or expect without giving it in return. It grows in an environment of mutual regard, where each person sees the other as worthy of kindness and care. Overcoming lust means nurturing this environment, where people are free to express themselves fully and safely, without fear of being reduced to mere desire. In embracing respect, we also affirm the dignity of vulnerability. To be vulnerable is to show our true selves, to reveal the parts of us that are not perfect or strong. Lust often thrives on concealment or deception, but respect asks us to bring light to our vulnerabilities, to meet each other with openness and grace. This vulnerability is not weakness. It is the courage to be seen and known in our fullness. Through this courage, we find connection that transcends the physical. We build bonds that nourish the soul, relationships that are not fleeting but lasting, not shallow but deep. These connections are the antidote to the emptiness that unchecked lust can bring. They remind us that we are not alone, that we are part of a greater human family, bound by shared experience and mutual care. Respect and dignity are also the foundation for healing. Many carry wounds inflicted by lust that was not tempered by regard for their worth, wounds of betrayal, shame, or loss. Overcoming lust means participating in a process of healing those wounds, both in ourselves and in others. It means offering forgiveness where it is needed and seeking it where we have caused pain. It is a journey toward wholeness, where respect restores what lust once threatened to destroy. My friends, to live with respect and dignity is to choose a life of meaning over a life of momentary pleasure. It is to affirm the value of each human being, including ourselves, and to build relationships that honor this value every day. This is no small task. It requires courage, commitment, and a heart open to transformation. But the rewards are great. When we live by respect, we create communities where trust flourishes and where love is not an illusion, but a living, breathing reality. We become examples to others, shining beacons of what is possible when desire is guided by honor rather than impulse. This, then, is the call before us, to carry respect and dignity as our shields and our guides, to walk forward with hearts committed to seeing and honoring the humanity in ourselves and in every person we meet. In doing so, we do more than overcome lust, we transcend it. Because true freedom, true peace, comes not from the suppression of desire, but from the elevation of respect. Let me know if you'd like to continue with the next key point. Certainly. Here is a 750 word segment expanding on key point 4 in the style requested. As we reach this moment in our journey together, I want to speak to you about something that fills me with hope. The hope that transformation is always possible, and that renewal is not just a dream, but a reality within our grasp. Overcoming lust is not a one-time act of will, nor is it a permanent sentence of struggle. It is a path of growth, of healing, and of profound change. No matter where you stand today, no matter the weight of past mistakes or the depth of past failures, there is a future where the chains of lust no longer bind you, where you walk free with purpose and peace. This hope is not blind optimism. It is born from the deep understanding of the human spirit, its resilience, its capacity for change, and its unwavering desire for freedom. We are not defined by our weaknesses or our mistakes. We are defined by how we respond to them. In every challenge lies the seed of transformation, and in every moment of struggle, the possibility to rise again. Transformation begins with a single choice, the choice to believe in the possibility of change. It is the decision to see yourself not as a prisoner of desire, but as a person capable of growth and renewal. This choice is an act of courage, because it requires honesty with oneself and the willingness to face difficult truths. But it is also an act of faith, a faith in your own worth and in the power of perseverance. The path of renewal is not traveled alone. It is supported by community, by those who walk beside us, offering encouragement, understanding, and accountability. No transformation is complete without connection, without the support of others who believe in us and remind us of our strength when we falter. This shared journey creates bonds that sustain us and help us grow beyond what we might imagine possible alone. In this spirit, hope becomes a powerful force. It carries us through moments of doubt and despair. It whispers to us when temptation threatens to pull us under. It reminds us that each day is a new opportunity, a chance to make different choices, to build new habits, and to move closer to the person we aspire to be. Renewal is not about erasing the past or pretending mistakes never happened. It is about learning from those experiences, understanding their lessons, and using them as stepping stones toward a better future. Every setback can become a foundation for growth. Every failure can become a source of wisdom. When we embrace this perspective, we transform pain into power. The journey of overcoming lust is also a journey of self-discovery. As we let go of destructive patterns, we begin to uncover the deeper desires of our hearts, the desire for meaning, for connection, for love that is true and lasting. We find that beyond the surface cravings lies a wellspring of purpose waiting to be tapped. This discovery fuels our transformation, giving it direction and depth. We must also recognize that renewal requires patience. Change is not instantaneous. It unfolds over time, through consistent effort and resilience. There will be moments when progress feels slow or invisible. In those moments, hope calls us to persevere, to trust the process, and to keep moving forward. The smallest steps forward are victories worth celebrating because they bring us closer to freedom. This hope and possibility of transformation are gifts we must hold on to tightly, especially when the road is hardest. They remind us that no one is ever beyond redemption. No one is ever too broken to heal. The human spirit is made for growth, and within each of us lies the power to overcome lust and to build a life of meaning, dignity, and peace. My friends, I invite you to embrace this hope, to hold it close in your heart, and to let it light your path. With perseverance, with faith, and with the support of those who care, you can transform desire from a source of turmoil into a wellspring of strength. You can renew your life and step into a future where lust no longer controls, but serves the higher purpose of connection and love. Because in hope and transformation lies the true power to overcome